Hello, everyone, and welcome along to the Roons and Mizz Arsenal chat. I'm Roons,
And I'm Miz,
and today we have
and
a
we have a
very,
good, yeah.
very special episode with a guest. This is a heart to heart with Wart, our favorite Manchester United fan who we feel sorry for. So, Art, Dimitri,
Our
welcome to the
condolences.
podcast.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be on your podcast and
Definitely,
talk about the greatest football club in all the land.
we agree totally.
Arsenal?
Arsenal.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks, Art. I'm happy you came to join us today for this.
yeah,
This is the headline.
All right. Yeah. Well, what we're going to talk about today is we're going to dive a little bit into the heart of, or where Art's kind of take on the state of where Arsenal's at right now. And then we'll talk a little bit about the state of Man United from our take. Just from outsider, we've always had rivalries between the two. And then we'll talk about the match on Sunday and what's going to happen in that win that Arsenal's going to pick up on Sunday.
Mm.
sounds good.
From the Arsenal standpoint, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Art,
So Art, yeah.
from a outside bias perspective, of course, you're not going to be looking for Arsenal to be like the best or care if they're getting better or worse, really. But it's not going to be your prime focus. But how do you see it as someone who's not a main supporter? Where do you see them at right now?
In a building phase, sadly. I mean, I think from the perspective of playing this weekend, dangerous. I think Arsenal always has the ability to pull a game out of their hat and have, run a score up. And I think the offensive weapons, I think, Lacazette and Aubameyang, and when that combination started, I was really excited for Arsenal and to see them progress back to the next step, to see them play at a level that gets them to the Champions, finale. Not to win it, of course, but to get there. I thought they were putting the pieces together because in the era of Barcelona being the tiki taka and playing and winning everything and being the strong team, I thought Arsenal was really the only team that could kind of compete at that level and speed and maybe expose that team's defense. And I was really, I think it's good for the English Premier League to have English teams in the finals of these major tournaments. So I support that. But I don't think you're there, and I don't know what it is. I liked Mikel Arteta as a player. I think him as a coach. I think young players respond to people who are peers or turn to be mentors in these managers because they command respect on the field and professionally. And I was really excited for that. And I think in some ways it is happening, but it's not clicking all the time. And I think that's the whole inconsistency. I'm sure you guys agree with this and have said this.
Mm-hmm.
Stringing a not being streaky and stringing a run of winning games and like hard fought games. That it happens in 2 or 3s, and then suddenly you think they're going to go on a run, and then you lose to like a bottom of the table team. But as I say all this, I could be echoing the exact same thing about my favorite team in the world. So there's some parallels.
Similar trajectories.
Because even in the early 2000s, when it was Manchester United and Arsenal were head and shoulders above the rest of the Premier League, and the things that distinguished them was consistency. Like, with Ferguson, you just knew that the level couldn't drop above spectacular, or else heads were going to roll. Someone was going to get sold, or they were all afraid of getting bitched out by Ferguson. But the level had to stay the same, and it had to be great. And for a while there, Arsenal was keeping pace with them, which was crazy because no one else could even come close. And so they were really similar in that way with consistency, going full seasons, barely losing games, or in the case of Arsenal, not the case of Man U, but in the case of Arsenal, going the full season without losing a game at all. But, even so, consistency was a big factor. And now both teams, like you said, are really struggling for consistency.
I think it started at the same time. Like, really, I mean, Ferguson leaving and then Wenger following a few years later. Both managers left the teams kind of not in the best places. Ferguson, you guys had a terrible team that season. Like
Ferguson left on a season that they won the Premier League.
yeah,
And
but they
no new transfers.
yeah,
No
no,
new
but after that they were all
Van
they
Persie.
were pretty bad after.
They just, I mean, they basically, it's been nothing
He was
but
get,
downhill.
he was getting more out of them than like David Moyes could do when he came in. And but same with Arsene Wenger. Like Arsene Wenger left, and Unai Emery, you always felt like he wasn't going to be the main dude forever. Like I think that they would stick with Arteta right now probably for 10 years. I'd say at this point, already they'd be willing to do that. And I think it's a little different with United. I think Ole could get sacked this season.
It was looking like he was maybe. I mean,
yeah, I would have sacked him after Tottenham.
Right, yeah, like right when he needs it. Like you guys are in a bit of
Yeah.
form right now, you know.
Yeah,
And
you've
but
had a couple easy.
You 0-0 tie and a 5-0 win in the Champions League.
You guys do get favorable draws and everything. Let's just agree to this, that United gets like favorable draws, like penalties that teams shouldn't ever get. And I mean, and the amount of stoppage time that's ever been added to games is...
I feel like being hungry from the start to the finish is the recipe of what makes Manchester United great. And sometimes your hunger kicks into fifth gear in the last 5 minutes of the game. I mean, that's been the recipe, is like fight harder and keep going and score these late goals.
That's fair, yeah.
But I mean,
you guys are a grinding team for sure. Like it's never an easy game.
Yeah, I think. I mean, you know, and you guys can critique Manchester United all you want, but like if we're talking about Arsenal, like I will say that I have excitement. I mentioned that seeing English teams at the top is good overall, and I like the top six being the traditional top six, but I like the, you know, 7 through 15th, like being just at each other's throats and taking a few games away, or at least points away from the top of the league. And I'd like to get there again. I mean, I think Arsenal's recipe is like always been dangerous players on different parts of the pitch. And you know, I was going to check real quick on my fantasy Premier League team, but I might have more Arsenal players on my team right now than I have Manchester United players. But I'll change that before this weekend because I don't want to lose any points.
I think that we both would agree, though. We want United to be at the top. Like, I mean, that's a team that you hope to have a good rivalry between and like good games. Like, it's a shame when we both have been struggling the last couple of years, like, because it's just not the same at the top up there without them. They're the staple clubs. Like Arsenal, Manchester United are probably the two most famous clubs in England, like long standing.
You think the commonality of what's been wrong is American ownership?
Maybe. It's definitely probably ruined the roots of it.
Yeah, there's definitely something to that. Well, when you think about also another similarity between Arsenal and Manchester United at their best was they kept their manager.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't like Chelsea, where if you lose 3 games, then they're going to go and get whoever the hottest manager is right now. Like they stuck with a style and were like, no, this is our character. This is our heritage. This is our style. When things go bad, we don't just sell everyone and buy a whole new squad.
Yeah, we're going to try to figure it out as an organization. That's what that's
changed a little bit since the American ownership has taken more of a role because to be honest, the Glazers and Kroenke don't know fuck all about soccer.
Nothing.
They're just hearing, oh wait, things aren't going well, buy that guy, you know. Or in the case of things aren't going well, don't buy anybody.
We've at least managed it a little bit better. Like we've been a sustainable model. United, I mean, 5 years ago they were like in trouble with like finances. The Glazer family's always like, they've multiple times been like, oh, we need to sell because we can't afford this anymore. And then it just took off and they ended up becoming like super rich from it, which is.
I mean, I feel like Manchester United has always been top 3 most well-structured business models in all sports in the world.
Yeah.
And there have been times, I think, I mean, we were going on spending sprees that made no sense. I mean, and I think that's what you just touched on, Cameron, talking about like the heritage and keeping a manager in place and having a style and structure and running with that has been the opposite of what we've been doing for a number of years. And I think the excitement and the kind of pickup of last season, over really only what felt like a couple months ago, or a month ago, like having the continuation of the league, like we went on this run of like 10 games, unbeaten, and it was fantastic. And it was like the excitement was these 3 young players, 2 academy prospects that are playing on the first team, and I think it brought some new love and admiration within the squad, but also the fan base, and then obviously Bruno being this like actually being the savior. We spent a lot of money on him, but the kid's showing up every week, and he works hard and he plays hard and he critiques the shit himself.
He can really score.
He's good
as well. He has what you guys scored, I think, some 50 some goals last season in the Premier League. 48 of them Bruno Fernandes penalty. A great decision.
I mean, he didn't take the PK in the Champions League. I don't know if that was because he
missed one last week.
But he missed one, and it was like, are they back on this rotation of like, if you miss it, you get the cut? Not good enough.
Yeah, his windup is crazy. Just his like general run up to the ball is like. Loopy.
And then that was the thing. He didn't do that. You're like,
mm-hmm.
I mean, it wasn't a terrible shot, but the keeper read it, and that probably stings a little bit. But in the same game, he just netted a couple goals upper 90, and one just happened to not be offsides. And I was like, that boy has got a nice touch when it comes to placing the ball in the net. So,
well, I mean, when I've been watching Man U, I thought they were really poor in the beginning of the season. Just watching them, like, okay, it doesn't seem like they have any shape. They don't have any real weapons. Of course, they have players that can play on any given day. Rashford, Martial, Bruno. I mean, they always will stock the team full of players that on a good day could probably beat anybody. But the form wasn't really there. Shape wasn't there. And then against PSG, I was watching it and I was like, all right, they look like they're like PSG can't figure these guys out. They were always more dangerous. They're defending. It was a more defensive style, but Man U's always kind of been do the basics first, defense first, win your tackles, and then try to do something above that creatively, But it started to see like, okay, well, if they play like this, then they could actually be a squad. But I didn't know if that was just a one-off game. I mean, then they won again 5-0. It's like they little bursts of confidence and stuff, but I'm not sure if Ole is implementing any kind of actual style to them. I don't know how you feel about that.
I know we've talked on the phone about this, and I mean the lineup that they just ran with on Tuesday or Wednesday, I get my days mixed up, but when they just won 5-0, the lineup was a 4-4 diamond and 2 forwards, like a 4-4-2. We haven't seen that. And there's like the tactic from the other team was a 3-1-3-2, just like where's the dimension in that, unless you just count on one, your outside defender just running up and down the field. Like that seems like that doesn't have the focus and structure. But if you look at the diamond midfield, Pogba was on the left, and Donny Van Bee was up front, playing attacking center midfield, and on the far right was Fred. And it's like, okay, so you have 2 defensive midfielders playing, on a lineup on paper, outside, attacking midfielders, but really moving more to the center of the park and having the 2 outside backs kind of do the flank. That was amazing, because I've been complaining. I was like, when Pogba came over from Juventus, he had an impressive season. He scored 10 plus goals. He had 10 plus assists. Like, they went to the Champions League finale. Like, he was balling. He played left midfield. Like he's creative and he can find space and he works hard. And I think part of that is that he was happy. He's happy in a position that allows him to attack. And we know that like Jose Mourinho kind of like had the dreams of him being the world's best defensive midfielder. And clearly that didn't gel with Pogba, and you weren't getting the best out of him.
I don't know why they started playing defensively ever, though. He's obviously he's attacking player. Like
but he doesn't attack strong. Like he can hold the ball.
But for France, for France, he was involved in almost 90% of their goals in the World Cup, and they won the World Cup.
And playing defensive mid or kind of holding a little bit when it was important against a certain team in a tactical decision, but not just every day. And so I don't know. That lineup to me was, I mean, it was almost as kind of it made me scratch my head in a way that was positive. Where in the past 2 starts, seeing the lineup, include somebody up top with basically Marcus Rashford and Bruno, but then having your outside midfielders be Juan Mata and Daniel James. And while I'm excited, I admire both of those players. I think Daniel James has incredible work ethic, but he's not that polished, and he's kind of like a younger version of Juan Mata. And Juan Mata might be the most skilled player, but he's aging and doesn't have the speed. And he's I think he's like Arteta. Like, he's a great player on the field. He does good. People respect him, but he's not gonna win the game. But he's not gonna do the immature mistakes and lose the game. And that just didn't seem dangerous to me. So I think part of it was resting players and whatever. But I was really, this 5-0 win obviously is a huge win, and it's exciting. And I think that lineup really kind of hopefully set the trajectory that's going to be what it is, and we're going to win more games.
What about Art? What do you think? Where do you think Arsenal's going to finish in the table this season? Since we're in that part of it, and saying your take on where we're at, where do you think we're going to land?
I mean, I think you'll lose in the semis of the Europa League, and I think you'll probably finish 6th. And that's a probably a safe guess, but maybe even a little bit generous.
I could see both of those things happening, but
but then I mean, again, you'd be streaky, and I will say this, in the credit and the state of Arsenal right now, I think basically telling Ozil to fuck off, or we'll pay you to just not even wear a uniform, is a huge statement, and the kind of statement that the team, it resonates with the team. Like, they know he's the highest paid player, and he's not even worthy of putting on the uniform. If I'm a young player, if I'm Saka, I would be like, this is my opportunity, and I'm going to prove my opportunity right now, and I'm going to crush it. I'm sorry about that. And I think there are, like, I'm not crazy about your number 30, the young guy that's playing up top every once in a while, which
Martinelli.
Yeah, he's playing up top, and you're pushing, Aubameyang and like Pepe, or sometimes Lacazette outside. Like I don't. That maybe Aubameyang playing as a winger makes sense to me, but that just leaving like your point man to be this young kid he scores some goals. He's got a nice touch, but he's threatening, but he's not putting fear in the defenders that are going to be marking him up, or in the English game where they can just kind of body him up. And I feel like if you have that trio of Lacazette, Aubameyang, and Pepe, like, that is on paper scary. And I think on the field, like, I think defenders, or especially the guys that are playing outside back and like running up and down the field, more in the game to serve these balls into the box, are probably living with a little bit of fear, or just awareness that, like, after I play this ball, I got to get back, because there is somebody fast and strong back there waiting for just a counterattack that's going to put our defenders on their heels. And like, you guys,
we agree.
In the middle of the park on the defense side. And that is, like, as a player who was smart but like very slow, when you need an extra step. And I think those are the players that put that kind of, you're thinking that before, as you're playing, and everything you're doing, you're making sure how far you're getting behind.
Pepe would be terrible to defend against.
Yeah,
like,
give him that space. You give him 5 extra yards because you're terrified he's going to nutmeg you.
Yeah, and he's so fast. And he's so fast that he's gonna blow past you. Like, he broke Van Dijk off in the very first game last year. Just megged him and got him in the middle of the field and opened it up. It was like, oh damn, this
guy's gonna be dangerous. What's up? Why isn't he playing as much?
He scored a great goal yesterday.
Okay. Yeah, he scored a sick upper 90 right foot. But it's funny to say that, because you've been saying this all the podcast all season long, that we want to see a lineup with Aubameyang, Lacazette, and Pepe starting. They have never started a game all at the same time. Mm-hmm. It's always Willian or Nketiah or something, and it's like for the same exact reason. Maybe they're not all in their best form, or maybe They all can't last 90 minutes playing defense as well. But just seeing that team sheet, if I'm Brighton and I look and I see that team sheet and I'm the defense, I'm like, oh fuck,
Yeah.
like, better be, if I get the ball and I don't know what to do and I pass it wrong, like they're gonna counter and score at will, So I don't know why even just psychologically Arteta hasn't tried that yet. It's
Maybe
frustrating.
Sunday. Pepe scored a great goal yesterday. He wasn't a super hard game. It was pretty easy on the team. He's not going to be that tired. They like had like 80% of the ball. So, and he rested Aubameyang and Lacazette. Maybe he starts him Sunday. That would be good to play you guys against that.
I mean, I think they call them magpies in the back. Luke Shaw and as Cameron calls him, the refrigerator. I don't think they could keep pace with those guys.
No, Harry Maguire's so slow.
The 80 million pound fridge. He doesn't want that.
I mean, sometimes you gotta play football like the American way and just body people up and bulldoze them, and maybe give them a little headlock while you're at it too. So,
especially if it won't be called for PK football.
Well, people sympathize for him because he's just causing a ruckus in South Africa. And
there's a high probability of a penalty on Sunday.
I mean,
in United's favor.
And I would say that Bruno's going to take it and he's going to score.
Yep.
And for me, I'm going to celebrate and then count 5 points on my fantasy team. And then I'm going to just be living it up. So, I mean, yeah.
We haven't been scoring as much lately, but that's got to change at some point. They'll start finding some form. There's too many attacking players in that team not to figure it out.
Yeah.
We're just we're trying to piece it together right now. I agree that we're in some sort of building phase. That's obvious. We've had fringe players that we've been trying to get rid of. I think it's great that Ozil's kind of frozen out. I think he's not led a good example. So they seem to be going in the right direction. Cameron and I would both agree about this. We used to have long discussions about how terrible the state of the club was in, just because they've been running it down for a long time, just not caring about the system or what they were doing. It seems like they actually care about being competitive now.
I mean, I hope so. They're Arsenal. They're the Gunners.
Yeah.
We had a long period there of straight up mediocrity, though, which was frustrating.
Yeah.
Because at least Manchester United, maybe they're not in their heyday right now, but they're at least trying. They're at least spending the team, getting new players. They're trying to inject some kind of kind of inspiration into the team, even when they don't have a good season. But for the past 10 years or so, only until now, Arsenal, it just seemed like they weren't even trying. They're putting teams out there that you're like, no one would put this team out there. So it was frustrating because it seemed like we weren't even really competing anymore. But now hopefully that's changed, and this week's game is going to be a good indication of where both teams are kind of at.
I mean, it's a good couple weeks. I mean, you could go 0-3.
We have a tough run of games, and you're up next. And
who's after this week? You guys play.
I think we play Tottenham next week. We have another Thursday Europa League game against Mold from Norway. They'll play all the kids in that game, but then we play Tottenham, I think, after that.
That's not going to be an easy game because Tottenham is having their bit of yearly
form. Yeah.
I see. You guys are playing Aston Villa after.
Villa. That's right. And that's a hard game too, dude. That's a tough game
right now.
Yeah. And they're going to be flying high, man. Jack Grealish is good. Emi Martinez went from Arsenal to Villa, so he's going to be probably in the game not wanting to get scored on at all.
Yeah. It's I mean,
who do you play after?
We'll talk about the predictions of the game towards the end, but this could literally set your season on fire at either end. It could light a fire, and you guys can go on a hot streak and show what you can do, or it could just be the start of the Emirates burning down.
Well, I mean, it's still a tie that has that ability to jumpstart either
Yeah.
season. You know,
True.
rivalry is still definitely there, except teams are just maybe in one tier below where they used to be.
Mhm. Yeah, it's interesting. I pulled up some stats because I just had this memory of Arsenal, just like I think it ended up only being. Well, I don't know what the final score was. You guys can maybe remind me, but I thought Arsenal thrashed Man U. It was
No,
kind of like the
you
top.
guys no, you guys thrashed us 8-2 at Old Trafford.
But in the last, so all-time record, United and so the all-time record for the two teams,
Mhm.
all-time, 99 wins for Man U, 84 for Arsenal, 49 draws. It's
Hmm.
kind of split. That's like,
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
pretty.
I like having 15 more wins, that's for sure, but hopefully 16 after this weekend. But that's a good rivalry. In the last 10 meetings, 4-4-2. So 4 wins for each team, 2 draws. Like, I
Wow.
think that speaks to what we were talking about, how
Yeah,
we both kind of started falling downhill or
yeah,
slipping off our top form
yeah.
right at the same time, and it's been kind of neck and neck. And then in the Premier League, and not including any of the like, this would be 56 total games played, and that was before the since '92, and Man U's got 24 wins and Arsenal with 15 and 17 draws. So, but I did look. I was like, okay, what was the big thrashing? What was the biggest scoreline ever between the two teams? And it was this 8-2, probably nightmare for you guys. And
When was that? Like
It,
2011 or something?
yeah, we were wearing that dope blue kit, but we got worked.
Yeah. I
It
mean,
was
that's
just
where,
Ashley Young scored a couple just like really great goals.
uh,
Chesney was just terrible at the time. Just like,
we had players on that team I absolutely despised, like,
yeah, they were garbage.
and that was still with Ferguson, where you don't make the team sheet with Ferguson unless you're ready to go. No one goes out there feeling like a little scared and, oh, I'm not going to pass the ball, or I'm a little bit and it felt like we fielded 11 players who were all that way. And you go up against Manchester United like that, even today, or you go up against City with Pep Guardiola or something like that, and they're going to absolutely destroy you. It doesn't matter if you're Arsenal or Real Madrid or anything. If you go out there scared, you're going to get destroyed. And that team just looked like a bunch of pussies.
I mean, scoreline kind of fits. So
Yeah, but luckily we've moved on from that era.
Yeah, I think right now we have. I think it's easy to, if you're not paying attention to what we're doing, like we pay attention to it really closely. The team that Arteta is building is like it's going to be like a really strong team. Like when they start firing all together, like that's why I think we're hopeful, because they've only signed quality lately. Where I think United's been doing the same. You've been trying to, at least. I mean, I think the Cavani one is interesting.
I mean,
More for jersey sales than
I think
Yeah,
I think.
Falcao coming too.
you got to have that number 7. But I feel like
Yeah,
I'm pretty excited about the Cavani signing, and I might be it's my optimism coming through.
yeah, yeah. I think for both of us, we should all be excited. They all seem to be going in the right direction as clubs, and kind of turned it around, because like it was lagging. They weren't, neither team. We both have been in the Europa League more than we've not been in Champions League recently. So that's a decline from the beginning when Ferguson and Wenger were at it. So
Well, Art, what's the status with Man U and their youth squad? Like, they were another thing really about the
yeah,
two teams is like always willing to use youth, and then especially you with the class of '92 was like they kind of made it a reality that you can take a whole squad from the youth and turn them into world class. You don't have to go out and buy them, and that's really
yeah,
what set Manchester United on their superstar status, because they did that basically for free. They didn't have to
yeah,
spend all the money, but all of a sudden they're at the best and they're getting paid all this money, but they didn't spend $100 million on those players. So the youth system was so important. It's been
yeah,
so important to Arsenal, and it currently is. I mean, we have like 5 or 6 players minimum
Yeah,
who
yeah.
are from
In
the
our first team.
in the first team. They're still, some of them aren't yet 20 years old, so it's hard to really judge them, as real players yet. But it's a big part of Arsenal, and I don't know how it is with Man U at the moment.
I mean, I think I would have to pull it up, but I'm pretty certain that we have been winning quite a bit. I mean, I think there's like a lot of the prospects. Obviously, Mason Greenwood is like the one right now because he's on the first team, but the kid's 19 now. I mean, this looks good, and Dean Henderson coming up, and he's been playing for his team on loan for a couple seasons, and being on the Manchester United side of taking over for Sergio Romero, and probably mixed feelings because he's been the greatest, I think, number 2 keeper in the world for 8 years. Like only gets to play in some Champions League games or really Europa League games or the FA Cup. Like that was his role, and he would just support De Gea, or before that, Van der Sar. Like that was you players like that. I think deserve the respect of the club, and obviously, he's going through something where he's not being able to be let go of, and was asked to be sold at a too high of a price, and didn't have the opportunity to go play in for Everton. But we have this top class goalkeeper as a prospect, and then there are just a bunch of other guys that who want to go on loan this season because they're not quite ready to break through in the first team, but they're playing at that level. They're playing Premier League quality or first division football. And then there's kids that are they're starting to talk about now on the youth teams that are terrorizing, playing two ages up and scoring a bunch of goals, or 18-year-olds that are going to start playing for the U23 squad. And it's if we have more of that coming online, the future could be you pay for positional players that are exceptional at their position and enhance the team. That's the problem of stockpiling players for money is stupid, but buying a player that literally dominates top 1 or 2 players at their position in the world, that's money well spent. And then you build the structure and the base around these academy kids who have grown up around each other, known each other, talked to one another all the time. That is, I mean, you guys know how that is. If we walked on a field right now after not playing soccer together for 10 years, I probably know what you're going to do, Cameron, and what you're going to do, Sean. You learn that and earn that. And that is a great place.
Yeah.
And I think that's why our team was so good.
If you kept that together, yeah.
But the only person that's going to, and why we're doing that, I think, really is because Ole was coaching the younger squads. He was the coach of the youth teams, and that is, I mean,
yeah, teams that always play together longer are always better. So you're right. If we all played together as kids, if we would have continued and become professionals, I mean, there was a time that indoor team that we had at Big League Dreams was a very good team because we grew up. We were young men at that point. We were 23, and you just know each other so well that you know where everybody's going to be at all times. That's a perfect system to have as a professional team, and they should be focusing on that stuff.
Was it Mourinho who kind of said fuck the youth and didn't really use them, or?
I think he was kind of. I mean, I think he was actually speaking about players on the squad like Anthony Martial and I think he generally always praised Marcus Rashford, but people would complain that he wouldn't play the two of them together, because he felt like he didn't have the trust of the youth on the pitch, so let alone what's happening in the academy. I don't think he's trying to shut that down. But instead of we just signed a player from Real Madrid. It's oh, that's awesome. But it's like signing a AAA prospect, we're going to pay money for this person to play on our, youth squads and coming in on our development system so hopefully one day we can promote them. And, that doesn't seem to be happening too much as a talking point, but I feel like that culture is being That was, I think, what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's like job was, and that guy's a living legend of the club. I mean, to score in the 92nd minute of the Champions League final and deliver the treble.
And one of the best substitutes players, you know,
Yeah.
like,
How many parallels are they saying about Marcus Rashford this week? You know, just like the super sub. Like nobody knows the super sub better than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Like,
yeah, I mean, he was one of the best second string, maybe third string players ever.
this guy is.
Who is that?
We can't see it, Art.
Yeah.
Did you catch that song though?
No, it sounded
It's
like
kind of hard. It sounded like some
Waterhouse.
wanker Man United chat. I will say, you know, I toured Old Trafford last summer in 2019, and when I was just like over in that area, and I was like, oh, I want to see what it's like. I mean, it's an amazing stadium. It's huge. Like, I've been in the Emirates before, but Old Trafford is that thing is massive. There's like the aura around it's pretty cool too. Like everybody's like really friendly around there, and you're like, God, I kind of hate this place, but like I want to see it. And you're like, they ask on like the tour, like, who do you support? And I definitely was like, I support Arsenal.
And they're really like, that's
there were lots of people that like weren't United fans that just like toured it. It's an interesting place though, and you guys have a cool culture, and similar to Arsenal, there's like a long history of like being a great club.
I mean, like Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester United, they have the real culture that seems to, it doesn't even matter if they're doing well or doing poorly or big or not, like they still have that same aura about them. And I think that's
like an upper class club kind of thing. Like they're always revered that way.
Or like people support them because they just feel a natural affinity to them, you know? Like some people are like, Diego's like a Liverpool supporter because he just saw Liverpool one day and was like, that's the club for me, you know? And like it was Arsenal for me, and it was United for art forever, you know? And like few clubs really, like Chelsea, you don't choose Chelsea like with heart, you know, unless you like live there or something like that. But those three clubs are special in that regard, I think.
Because Chelsea was always like kind of going for it at the top. Like they were like kind of like always like a top 6 club for a while, and then they, once they got bought by Abramovich, that's when they like took off. They just became like a famous. They're like similar to Man City. Man City, if Sheikh Mansour decides one day to get rid of it or not really care about it anymore, they'll kind of teeter away a little bit, like on the fringe, unless the system that they built will hold it.
Who was that they had a Chelsea, the famous player from Chelsea, his last name started with a Z. He was like Gio something. He went on to coach, and he was like
Zola.
Yeah.
Gianfranco Zola.
There you go.
Yeah.
That dude was amazing. You know, like
I
remember like in like the mid '90s, like I kind of liked watching Chelsea because that guy was like, you know, he was magnificent, and he danced all over the park and like nag people, and he was small, but he wasn't weak, and but then, you know, then they started spending a lot of money, and then they hired these, you know, they employ these giants like Drogba, and you know, John Terry was not a small man, and Frank Lampard, I think, is a like defensive attacking midfielder. They were like, when we went and saw them live, I was like, those guys are they're like 6'2".
No,
they're big.
I remember seeing Arjen Robben, and I thought he was like a short, skinny little dude.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, he's taller than me and wider than me by a lot. You know what I mean? I was like
these stocky shoulders and like.
Yeah.
They're big. They're big dudes.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think about like a team like Chelsea? Because I was watching their Champions League match. They're playing those horrible unis, dude. Just one of the worst.
Oh,
kids.
dude, that kid is horrible.
I was just thinking, it was like, dude, they bought a keeper. They bought Chilwell. They bought
Ziyech
and Havertz. So that's 2 midfielders. and then they bought Werner,
Vermeer.
who is like a top center forward. They literally got a player in every
Yeah.
new this season and paid for it, and they didn't pay cheap prices for it. They paid top dollar for it. And it's like, dude, Arsenal, we were saying like, well, we'll either get a defensive midfielder or a creative midfielder. It's only one, you know? Like that's it. And we got a center back, which we desperately needed. We got him for 27 million, you know? If he was any more expensive than that, we wouldn't have gotten Gabriel. And it's just like, damn, dude, we're hoping for one slot. You're talking about like
7 players.
Team, and then if you need a right wing and there's a great right wing, then you buy him for a lot of money because he can give you that extra, or be like Cantona, you know, that one little player that can give you that something extra. But then you have teams like Chelsea who are literally buying that extra player in every position almost every season. It's got to be frustrating for as much for a Man U fan as it is for an Arsenal fan.
I mean, I feel like the difference right now, why I don't feel as bad about it this season, unlike in the seasons, I mean, even when they had a penalty against them for financial fair play, like if they bought somebody they got Christian Pulisic, like he had to wait till the summertime, just like how are they buying players and making deals when they're literally not going to spend money like that? I don't get that. But in the seasons that they didn't bring on a superstar, they were still adding to their team in ways, and it just seemed like they just weren't. They were doing what I think our Man U is doing, is like they're bringing players on that don't change the difference of the game. So they kind of come in and play a couple seasons, and then they go pack their bags and go somewhere else. But this season, those players are stylistically fitting the kind of football that they're best at, and I mean, I'm intrigued. I think they seem dangerous. I didn't really see what the hype about Werner was like. I think for Germany, when I saw him as a starting center forward for the last World Cup, I was like, who's this guy? Like, what team in the Bundesliga has he been playing on? And
he scored a sick goal last weekend.
Dude, he is nice.
He juggled the ball and headed it over the goalkeeper's head.
You want to see
it was so dirty.
Spend money on come into the game, and the first couple weeks he didn't score, but he seemed threatening, and you could tell that
he's good. He's good.
By week 3, he's scoring goals, and he scored a goal every week since then. Like that, you need player. That's when you buy somebody, you expect results. I think he's delivering. I think the others maybe are questionable, but they gel into a stylistic, kind of flashy way of playing soccer and climbing and working your way up the field into the attacking third. But I don't know.
I just wonder, like, where would Arsenal be right now if we could have gotten a new goalie, a center back, two outstanding midfielders, or supposedly rated outstandingly, and then one of the best center forwards in the world? Like, I think we would be in a better position, I would have to say.
I mean, I agree.
If you upgrade the whole team, for sure. I mean, they bought that keeper to replace Azpilicueta or the whatever is Kepa, and he's the most expensive goalkeeper of all time.
But I think he might be literally the worst signing of all time.
He's terrible. He's terrible.
But that kid psychologically was not ready to come to England. He was young. Atletico Madrid has produced the best goalies in the world for at least 8 years, because they play a couple seasons, they make international acclaim. By the 3rd season, they get purchased for a large amount of money. And like he was like 1 season in, and it was like, who the fuck is this kid? And then it was not worth the money. Yeah.
Started with howlers.
But they don't care. Abramovich will just throw whatever at it. They don't care. They're like, financial fair play. We're done with that, man. 200 million this summer.
I mean, I was so hopeful that everything was going to stand with Manchester City and be getting punished, and it was just going to be the
Dude, that thing is phony, man. They don't even care. The UEFA was like,
I mean, it's a professional game. It's about money. You can't go on record being against money. It's never going to work, because money is it's gonna pay off those people, and it's about money. I mean, we're all wearing this. It's all cost money. It's all about money. So if you try to say, oh, there's a limit to how much money you can make, that's never going to work.
Talking about Manchester City on an Arsenal podcast with a Manchester United fan leads me to need to drink a beer.
Oh, Should have poured a cocktail today.
Yeah. Maybe
It's almost happy hour time. I think you guys are also in that, sort of rebuilding phase though, and you're coming more out of it. You have a little bit more resources to spend with. I think I would be excited if I was a United fan just with how you guys have been performing. I don't think that Ole is the answer for you though. I don't think that he gets. I don't think he'll get the best out of the team. Like if you could get Pochettino instead, I think that Pochettino would be a better manager to drive United to greatness. I think what he did at Tottenham was impressive.
Yeah, like he's a tactical style manager.
Yeah,
Have playing together. Whereas Ole, you hear him in the press conferences, and he's basically saying like, "I put out the best team. Like, what do you want me to do?"
Yeah, he takes no. He's like I picked the best player. Yeah.
I mean, I think
I don't think he has a long game in it. He's not thinking like deep on it.
His personality type, kind of soft spoken and what kind of seems easygoing and very friendly, is not the like style. I mean, it looks like it, but like not the style of what you expect at the manager at one of the most like high profile clubs in the world. And so it might not resonate with certain players, and it certainly doesn't at times resonate with the fans from the outside. Like, when are you gonna get to the point where you just like you're ruthless and you win at all costs? But I do think that, as I mentioned politics earlier and bringing that in the podcast, like this country could use some healing. Manchester United needed some healing. Like they were kind of like mentally and emotionally abused, and also spent a shitload of money on a lot of wasted, players, like money that didn't make sense. And so I still think the start of the season and coming off the end of last season, I was expecting a lot, and seeing how it wasn't working, it was just like, what the hell is going on? Like, I think maybe Ole might be the problem. And I did get a little bit excited when I heard that they might, they're like, Ed might be on the phone calling Pochettino. It's like, okay, maybe we need some new spice. But I kind of like where we are right in this moment, and I hope that this momentum carries through the winter break. And if that's the run, if you can hit the winter break on a good pace and projection, I think they have I think with the age of the squad, they could have the endurance to last through the end of the year. But if it doesn't happen by winter, and if they're starting to just be 2 games hot and 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, I don't think Ole will be there.
So, Art, you know what your like December, January fixtures look like? Because we only play like Tottenham, I think, or maybe Man U again or something. We play like one top 6 team in that spell, which is a really tough spell. So I feel like for us it's fortunate because like we can maybe pick up a lot of points during that season where it's pretty much make or break, like it can be won or lost in December and January.
Yeah.
We're in our tough run right now.
So like first week of January, you guys played Spurs. We got an easier game. The second week of December, you're playing Burnley. So like you could have a big win off Spurs, and that could be 6 points. That'd be great. We play Man City, so that'll always be a tough, challenging game. That's at home. But without fans, I feel like it kind of doesn't matter. And then you guys play Southampton, and we play Sheffield United. And I think that could be easy points for you guys, and maybe a tough game for us. And then you play Everton, which, I mean, the way Everton's balling right now, like I feel like they're a team that's going to kind of flame out before they
get started. Already.
Yeah.
Like
James,
what do you guess? Like James is injured. Like had 3 games where he scored like 4 goals and 3 assists, and then he's injured. And next time you see him, who knows? It could be March or December or whenever, and then he'll kind of just fade away like he always does.
I thought our Everton spent the best this offseason adding more flair and attacking players, and like
they're definitely doing something. They're definitely more active than they have been.
Yeah. But
Villa as well. Like Villa and both of it shows they both added to their squads and
Mhm.
spent some money. Teams that don't normally do that.
But on the 26th of December, we both have very tough matches. I think you guys have Chelsea, and we have Leicester, and that's a tough game. That's like my early prediction. In October for that game right after Christmas is a 0-0 draw. It's like, but that'd be there's a lot
What's
of
your prediction for What's your prediction for Sunday?
Well, let's talk about this real quick. What do you guys think your lineup's going to be on Sunday?
That's always the question. We always have our ideal lineups, but there's some honestly, whatever the lineup is, if we have Alba, Laka, and Pepe up as the front three,
I mean,
I'm fine. And Partey in the middle.
And Partey will start on Sunday for sure.
It's got to be that, man. Field that squad, please, once. But it's never happened, so I can't say that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
I'm right there with you too, which is like start this team that you just had last week. I can't imagine, especially with the new signing, testing positive for coronavirus. Like he's not going to be playing. Like we're going to have the same back four, obviously De Gea and net, and like our midfield could be any one of 20 different combinations. But what happened it would be nice if they started what we started with instead of, in the midfield. You got to add Bruno into that equation, which, I was thinking about this all the time. I was like, can Donny Van Bee play outside right midfield? Like, Fred, he's kind of nice. And like, Fred is, I think Fred's got like speed and agility and he has he's like crafty, which is bad when you're a defensive midfielder, but maybe good when you're a left winger. And
is Lingard still in the team? What's going on with him?
Yeah, he's the starting center back. And then
Lingard's playing center back.
Oh no! Oh, Jesse Lingard. Sorry, I was thinking Lingard. No. I think he got the door. He got the axe.
Really? What happened with him?
What?
I never. Yeah,
what's going on with that?
I think he scored a cracker in the World Cup for England, and it was like, damn, this kid's kind of showing off. Like he's nasty. He has been the Achilles tendon to Arsenal in our Manchester United wins as of late. Like with the last couple of years.
So, he's always punished us.
But he can't do it the next game. And like last season, like he performed well, but he played in like a handful of games, and I think it's when you're hot, you got to stick with what's working, and I think Mason Greenwood just got hot, and you didn't want to change it. And when we had a starting lineup that we went into every week, we know what that starting lineup is. We were getting results. So that's kind of what I'm getting at is like, in the same boat as you guys. For you, if you start those three forwards up top, like you guys, it doesn't matter what you do as long as people can kick the ball up the field and catch people on the counter. And for us, it's like we know what our back four is going to be, and it's always it's good, but it's not great. But I know what that is. But we have 8 center mids on our team, that could play defensive center mid or attacking center mid. So might as well field 4 of them or 3 of them at least, and then just have Nemanja Matic or Scott McTominay or somebody staying back, so you have 5 defenders back, or at least 3 while the 2 outside backs are running up and down the field, and then you got Martial and Rashford up top, and then you have the ability to add Cavani. I will say one thing that I do think might happen this weekend is because Martial's not playing because of the red card. I think Cavani's not going to start, but I think he's going to come into the game in like the 50th, like at halftime or around the 50th minute, depending on what the score line is. And I think he's going to get his debut goal. I think that's going to happen this weekend. And since I said that, he probably won't even play, but I think it's going to happen.
But Martial is out.
Yeah, because he got that red card last game.
Yeah. I would rather have Rashford out.
That's good.
Rashford's good. As the older he gets, like the little bit more you feel comfortable when he's like running in the box at somebody, that he's not going to like turf toe and fall over, that he actually might follow through and at least get the shot off. But he's been scoring goals, and I think that PK that he took this week was more of a confident booster for him. So we'll see. I feel probably. I mean, I'm just going to jump into my prediction, which I think Cavani's going to score. I'll say two things. I'll say what the game that I want to happen, 3-2 final, two league changes. Like some Arsenal scores first. I heard of that Aubameyang's like got the highest odds to score the opening goal, and he's threatening, so I could see that happening and being like 1-up, and then Man U scoring 2 goals and Arsenal scoring a goal, and then one of the teams takes it in like the 90th minute, which odds would say probably Manchester United, but like that would be a dream game. And I don't, that's what I want to happen, but I don't know if that is going to happen. I bet it's probably 2-1 or even 1-1.
Yeah.
2-1 United is your.
Yeah. I wouldn't cheer against my team, but I wouldn't be like, oh, I can't believe that didn't happen if Arsenal beat them 2-1.
It's at Old Trafford, right?
I don't know.
I believe so.
Yeah, but I mean, again, like, what's the home game if you don't have fans? Like,
yeah. I mean, I think it does. It's some comfort level probably, but you probably relish it as well.
Yeah, like sleeping in your own bed the night before.
Yeah, yeah.
Can I share my screen with you guys for a second?
Yeah.
Actually, what's your prediction, Sean? What do you think is going to be?
I don't know. I think your scores are decent. I would say that, but I don't know. I think that we're finding some form that we have to eventually win, and we have to, like, we're probably due for a win against United, and we have to win to turn the momentum around. So they're going to be coming out super hard on Sunday. I'm going to say 3-1 Arsenal.
All right. I mean, as somebody that doesn't cheer for Arsenal, I could say, oh yeah, I could see that happening against my own team.
Because I think that you guys have defensive fragilities that were exposed by Tottenham and like some free flowing football. Mm-hmm. I think if you guys get a little too comfortable going forward, you'll get opened up. And especially with the speed, if we do start with Pepe, Aubameyang, and Lacazette, I think that it could be. I don't know. I wouldn't discount you to score. I would say I could see Cavani scoring for sure.
I hope so.
That's like a likely person to score. I don't know if he'll play though.
What was your score line, Cameron?
I'm going to say 2-0 Arsenal, because I think we're defensively compact now, and I think it'll be a game where both teams are playing defensively compact, and it'll be hard to break down both teams. But I think if we can get through once, then we can win 2-0. But I think it'll also be who can break the other team down, So we're going to have to definitely watch Rashford, because for you guys, Rashford is a player who can break through our back line, who has the ability to do that. I don't know if Bruno necessarily, I mean, he'll be dangerous and stuff, but I don't think he's the type of player to like get in behind Gabriel or something. Whereas Rashford has that ability. It'll be a matter of stopping him from doing that. And likewise, you guys hold it down in the back, but we obviously have players that can break through almost any defense in the world. So if we're able to do that, then and keep a tight defense as well, I think we can win 2-0. That's my hopeful prediction. If it was 2-0 for Manchester United, I wouldn't be utterly confused and heartbroken. I mean, it would suck, but it's within the realm of possibility either way.
Yeah, we could lose for sure.
I mean, it's a nice rivalry right now where you're like, it can really go either way.
It really, yeah. It's who's ever going to like turn up and really put in a performance on Sunday.
Sure.
And it's not terribly early here on the West Coast. It's 8:30, so because the time changed back, because we're 7-hour difference from them right now.
It's disappointing because I'll have to watch the replay, so no text messages.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I wanted to show this little clip. Do you have the ability to let me share a screen?